You're listening to an interview taken from the Tonic Talk Show and Podcast, heard exclusively on Zoomer Radio. To download or listen to the original episode or other episodes of The Tonic, please visit thetonic.ca.
Andrea Donsky is a registered holistic nutritionist with 20 years experience in natural health and wellness. She's the co-founder and editor-in-chief of naturallysavvy.com and a regular contributor to Tonic Magazine. Welcome back to the show. How are you?
I'm great, Jamie. Thanks for having me again. It's been a while.
Yeah. So, we're at the stage of the COVID crisis now where I think, people are still concerned, obviously, about contracting the disease and passing it along and et cetera, but we're also sort of worried about the fallout effects of, staying at home and just the stresses and everything that's going on. So why don't we chat about a few of the things that we can do to help relieve stress?
This is probably my favorite topic to talk about these days because we're all living it, breathing it, like you said, and experiencing it. So for me, one of the things that I'd have to say, because my anxiety and my stress was out of control when this first hit, as everybody else is, and one thing that kept coming up over and over again was to just breathe. And the reason I say that, and it sounds so trivial and we're like, what, just breathe? But the truth is, we just need to take a deep breath. And the reason why is because research shows that deep breathing helps to reduce stress levels in the body. Yeah. And I saw firsthand how incredible this works. So I had a test done where a practitioner measured my nervous system before and after doing deep breathing. And I did it for about 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. And I literally saw how my nervous system went from a sympathetic state. That's the state that stimulates the fight or flight response, which most of us are operating on anyways on a regular basis when we're stressed. And it went to a parasympathetic state where I was more relaxed and calm. And it was so cool to see it right before my eyes that all I did, the only difference was taking in deep belly breaths.
Yeah, how shall I put this? I have road rage issues. I went for some help with it. And the first thing they suggested was deep breathing and sort of, counting to 10 and doing all the rest of it. But, truthfully, I can't say I'm an A student, but that stuff really does help.
It does. And you know what I do to remind myself, because I tend to be, type A personality, really busy, working, doing things, and what I do is I set a timer on my phone every hour on the hour. And then, by the way, there were a bunch of apps that you could do. I know that I think it's the Fitbit that actually reminds you to breathe. So there are amazing technology out there that can help. But if, like myself, I have my phone every hour on the hour. I set my alarm and I remember, deep breathing, and I'll count in for 4 and then release and just do a few breaths, because the more we remember it, then it becomes a habit. And then you find, and you're feeling that extra anxiety or you're feeling stressed, you'll be like, oh, wait, I'll just breathe. And it really does work. So anyways, that would be my number one advice, and because it's free and it's really easy to do.
Yeah. And along those lines, I would say, I'm not a meditator, but a lot of people swear by it. And I find exercise is a great stress relief, and the release of endorphins after I'll do a workout really sort of changes my mood. That's for sure.
Yeah, so exercise is great because it helps us to relax, but it also helps us to de-stress, right? Because it pumps up the endorphins in our bodies, which is our brain's feel-good neurotransmitter. And it also helps us sleep better, which is important too when it comes to stress, right? Because when we're stressed, a lot of times we don't sleep. So no, I'm a huge fan of exercise. Also, things like laughing, right? So we know that research shows laughing reduces stress hormones and releases endorphins in our body. Yep. So putting on a funny movie, calling a friend who you find that's really funny, watching cat videos, whatever makes you laugh, that's what we should be doing too, because it really helps us to automatically feel better.
What about stuff that that stuff we can do? What about food? Are there any foods that you think help with stress or sleep?
Okay, so I love that you asked me this question. So being a nutritionist, I would say absolutely yes.
Yeah, for sure.
This is my area of somewhat expertise. So food plays a huge role when it comes to stress. So you want to make sure that you're eating whole foods, trying to manage how much sugar you're eating or how much alcohol you're drinking, because all of those can play a role and can actually exacerbate stress. And certain foods also have sedative or relaxing effects. So for example, chamomile tea. So this is a beverage. It's well known to help calm us. And the reason why is because it increases the amino acid glycine, and glycine helps us to relax. Other foods, for example, contain magnesium. So cashews, almonds, having a handful of those before bed. Magnesium helps us to relax as well. It just kind of takes it down a notch, right? It relaxes our muscles, and they're great to eat before bed. And something that sounds really crazy, but romaine lettuce contains magnesium, but it also has a compound called lacticarium. And lacticarium is a mild sedative. It has mild sedative properties that help us to relax as well. So I know it sounds gross, but it actually does help to work. It does help. You boil 4 large lettuce leaves in water and then let it steep for about 15 minutes and then enjoy it with a hint of honey before going to bed. And that can just kind of, just help us to relax.
I'm okay with romaine lettuce like in salads. Like, what does it taste like when you're boiling it?
It tastes like soggy lettuce, I guess.
Okay, then. Do you
it sounds crazy, but there are certain foods that actually do work, right? That just kind of help us to relax. Turkey, right?
Yeah, tryptophan,
think about a Thanksgiving meal.
Yeah.
Turkey helps us to relax. That's because of the tryptophan. So there are so many different foods that can help. Sunflower seeds have tryptophan as well. Definitely some foods that can kind of just relax us, calm us.
Okay, so now that we're talking about stuff we can ingest, why don't we chat a little bit about supplements that might help?
Okay, so I'm a huge fan of supplements as well, because I do feel that we need a little bit of an extra push sometimes when we're doing a little bit of extra help. So there are certain supplements that work really well when it comes to stress. So one of them being L-theanine. Have you ever heard of L-theanine?
Yeah.
Okay, so L-theanine, so when we're stressed, our body releases cortisol. And cortisol is highest in the morning when we wake up, or at least it's supposed to be. But when we're stressed, our cortisol levels increase at other times of the day, like think 3 a.m., right? So if you're awake at 3 a.m. and you're staring and you're ready to go for your day, that's because cortisol is peaking at that time when it's not supposed to be doing it. So the cool thing about L-theanine is that it helps to balance cortisol levels and increases the alpha waves in our brain. That's like that calm, clear feeling we get when we're rested. So you can get L-theanine from food. For example, it exists naturally in green and matcha tea, but you'd have to drink a lot of it to get the amount you need. So taking a supplement, like an L-theanine supplement, is the best way to get it. And I take one every single day, and I'm a huge fan.
Okay, and it's preventative, correct? Like, in other words, don't wait for it. This is something you can take all the time.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's preventative, but more so it's something that, yes, you could take it every day. It's not something you become addicted to or anything. I take it before bed, and I take about, and you can take anywhere from 50 to 250 milligrams of L-theanine. It's totally safe. I take about 100 to 150 milligrams before bed, and I find it helps me sleep really well.
Okay. What else do you recommend?
So adaptogenic herbs. We just did a video on this on YouTube under the Naturally Savvy, and we talked about the benefits of adaptogenic herbs. So herbs like rhodiola, ashwagandha, holy basil, which is also tulsi. So what's great about adaptogenic herbs is that it helps our bodies cope better with stress. And hello, we can all use that.
Yeah.
So it literally helps our body adapt to what it needs when we're stressed. So I'm a big fan of that. You can take it as a supplement form, and you can get them individually or you can get them together in formulas, which is really great. The other thing I really love is omegas, so the omega-3s that have higher EPA. So there's research that shows that omega-3s, which are, omega-3 polyunsaturated fatty acids, also known as PUFAs, which you might have heard the acronym, that may help to reduce anxiety. So one study found that people with anxiety disorders have lower levels of circulating omega-3 PUFAs, which I thought to be really interesting. So I love a good quality fish oil. So you want to look for one that contains both EPA and DHA. And what's nice about fish oil is that it's also anti-inflammatory, right? So you want to look at that ratio of EPA to DHA to be about 10 to 1.
Okay, and for those who don't know, what is EPA?
So EPA, oh gosh, it's a very long, pento, I definitely can't pronounce it.
Okay.
Both DHA and EPA.
Okay.
Deoxo, HEPCO, it's a whole word, but those are what exists in omega-3.
Okay.
Yeah, they're the active ingredients.
And are there any other sort of supplements that you would recommend or dosages or?
Yeah, so for example, GABA. GABA helps with anxiety and stress, so it helps to relax us and helps us with sleep. And studies show that passion flower can help to relieve anxiety. So passion flower boosts GABA levels in the brain, which is pretty cool, which GABA, again, lowers brain activity, which can help us relax and sleep better. And then one mineral that I'm a huge fan of, which about 70 to 80% of us are actually deficient in, is magnesium. So I don't know, Jamie, do you take magnesium?
No, but every other member of my family does. And I should, because I exercise a lot and it's great for recovery.
Amazing for recovery. But the reason why magnesium is so important is because it's crucial for hundreds of functions in the body. And it's known as the calming mineral. So it helps us to relax. So when we're stressed, we deplete magnesium from our body. And when it's depleted of magnesium, we're more stressed. So it's kind of this vicious circle that goes on. And people who have low magnesium levels often have sleep issues as well. So this is a non-negotiable for me. Like every single day, I take my magnesium. You can even tell if you're depleted in magnesium, because for me, my eye starts to twitch, right? Because when it becomes low, like you said, it helps with recovery. It's great for muscles. for my body, I can tell like my eyelids are twitching a little bit. I up my magnesium dosage, and it works to help kind of like balance everything. So listen to your body. You could tell if you are depleted in magnesium, or you can go to your doctor and ask to get a blood test. So the thing about magnesium is it's really easy to take, and you can take it in a supplement form, or you can even do it in a powder. Every night I take, New Roots Herbal has this delicious tasting lemon powder, and it tastes so good. And I literally just put it into my glass. And you want to aim for about 300, like for women, 310 to 320 milligrams a day, and for men about 400 to 420 milligrams. So I highly recommend it, Jamie.
Yep.
Take it. It's great. Your family knows what they're doing. Like, it's great to take.
The only drawback I heard about it is that sometimes, I think, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm confusing with something else, but can it constipate you?
No, so magnesium actually will do the opposite.
Okay.
So magnesium can help, well, depending on the type of magnesium that you're taking. I like to take magnesium bisglycinate because, again, it has glycine. It has that amino acid glycine in it, which helps to relax us, right? So it's an extra benefit of relaxing us. But there are other forms. I've heard that magnesium citrate might make your stools a little bit loose. But again, listen to your body, because if you take too much magnesium and you're getting too loose of the stool, just pare down. Just go down a little bit. So you can actually help to prevent that by just managing the dose.
Okay, so we've touched upon it a bit, but let's talk about the correlationship between stress and sleep.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, when we're stressed, many of us have trouble sleeping. And when we have trouble sleeping, we actually become more stressed. So again, another one of those vicious circles. Now, let's go back to the adrenals for a second and the cortisol. So when we're stressed, it really has a major effect on our adrenal glands, right? Because it's constantly pumping out our stress hormones. So we really want our cortisol levels to be highest in the morning. But if it's becoming highest at 3 a.m. and waking you up at 3 a.m. and you're sitting there and you're ready to start your day, we really have to pay attention to our stress levels and our adrenals. And just, again, going back to the deep breathing, going back to taking the supplements that really help with stress, like those adaptogenic herbs, are really crucial. So I'd say really important to create a sleep routine. Yep. And this is something that's really hard to do, and I'm not going to say that I'm the best at it, because I'm not, and especially when self-quarantine hit and our whole schedules, everything's kind of like upside down from what it used to be, and our schedules are off. But if you can create some type of sleep routine or sleep hygiene, it's really important.
Right. I mean, we've covered this before on the show, but there's some simple things that you can do. I mean, just creating complete darkness is one thing. Creating a cooler temperature. Most people think that the ideal temperature to sleep at is in the 70s, but it's actually...
it's 68 degrees. 68
degrees Fahrenheit, and we're aging ourselves by doing Fahrenheit. And the other crucial one is turn off those devices like an hour before. Nobody's going to do it. You're either going to watch TV and turn out the lights, or you're going to be on your phone and turn out the lights, or your iPad or whatever. But if you can avoid it, you'll find that you'll get to sleep much faster.
Right. And the reason why you want to turn off those devices an hour before is that because they emit blue light and white light, right?
Yeah.
And those blue, white, and white lights actually meant to keep us awake.
Right.
And it makes us harder to fall asleep. So one thing you could do is you could buy yourself some blue blocking glasses, and you can put those on, around 8 o'clock at night and wear them until you fall asleep. And the reason why we don't want to be kept awake is because it prevents our body from releasing melatonin, which is that calming sleep hormone that helps us fall asleep. So really important and really easy to do, and they're not very expensive at all. I bought a pair for myself and my daughter because now that we're in self-isolation and summer's here, finally, we're actually watching, movies a little bit later. So we'll put on our blue blocking glasses, and basically it helps us. We don't have trouble falling asleep after. Because I did notice, by the way, when I wasn't wearing them, that I'd literally be lying there and have so many issues falling asleep because of that blue light. So a very important point.
Okay, so if the hygiene isn't working and we need a little help getting to sleep, is there anything that we can take that would help?
You're talking about in terms of like a supplement kind of thing?
Yeah, like natural. I mean, there's lots of things you can, your doctor will prescribe sleeping pills. I'm not an advocate of that, but is there supplements that can help?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are different supplements that we can take. So there's something called Sleep Aids by New Roots Herbal. So they have the 8 ingredients that basically help you sleep better, and they mix a lot of the ingredients we just talked about. So they have the adaptogenic herbs, they have hops, they have all the different things, the chamomile that kind of help to relax us and calm us before bed. And what I love about it is that you can't become dependent on it, they're not addictive, and they're definitely natural. So I love that. And then little things as well. well, and again, you can take the magnesium, which I'm a big fan of as well. And if you need a little bit of extra help, you can take, GABA on its own. You could take, L-theanine on its own, which in your tubs as well. So there are individual ingredients, or you can take it, kind of one product like Sleep 8 that has a whole bunch of different things that are mixed together. So I like products like that because then you're not doing so many individuals as opposed to taking one that kind of has a combination of everything.
Right.
But I do want to go back to a couple more sleep routine things just really quickly.
Sure.
For example, don't drink alcohol too close to bed because alcohol might help you fall asleep better, but it actually will wake you up in the middle of the night and it suppresses REM sleep. So again, really important. Don't drink caffeine too close to going to bed if you find that it keeps you awake. Like simple things like that, right? Like don't eat a heavy meal too close to when you're going to bed. Give yourself at least 3 to 4 hours, but from eating a heavy meal to the time you're actually going to bed. You can have a little snack, but anything that's too heavy, well, I know for me, I'm tossing and turning all night because my body's trying to digest that food. So really try to do that. And then you mentioned exercise. For some people, exercise actually will stimulate you too much before bed, right? You're too sensitive you might be sensitive to the adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
So if you have to exercise at night, do something a little bit more calming like yoga, right? So do something that you're not like really getting too pumped up over. So that can help you as well. I would think little things like that, or like putting essential oils on your pillow, right? Or inhaling lavender oil, or putting some Epsom salts in your bath with some lavender essential oil. Like there's so many things that we could do that can just kind of relax us before we go to bed so that we could sleep better. And when we sleep better, it'll help us be less stressed the next day.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thanks, Jamie, for having me again.